Today, we will rank every pet in Survivor.io on a tier list from best to worst. We're also going to check out their legendary deployment skills. If you like Survivor.io as much as all of us, make sure to like and subscribe. First of all, I do want to start off by mentioning that I think that there are essentially two types of pets. One, like Croquis, who will boost your survivor, and others like Kerbabel, who act like essentially other skills or additional skills. Their damage is comparable to other skills, and they're essentially just like other skills. They can cause a lot of damage on their own. I pretty much prefer ones that boost your survivors over ones that act like skills. However, if you're using Worm, who essentially has a weapon skill that's a passive skill, Listening Bug, then using a pet like DD6 who can act like a skill might be very useful. Let's start things off with Kerbabel. Lost its home due to the apocalypse, which is why it bears an unbridled hatred for its enemies. Kerbabel has a skill called Water Shot that can deal a decent amount of damage to enemies. They also have a legendary deployment skill called Super Battle Lust that reduces pet's attack and skill cooldown by 30%. Kerbabel will launch waves at the enemy, essentially causing AoE damage, and you can increase its range by using assist skills or leveling up your survivor. I think Kerbabel can be very useful, but for now I'm going to stick them in the C tier. Next we have Croquis. It's got an ever fiery temper, like it's about to rip its enemies' faces off. Croquis has a skill called Spit Attack, where he spits corrosive saliva at the enemy. He also has a legendary deployment skill called Super Inspiration, increases owner's crit damage by 10%. That's really good. Croquis can increase your overall skill damage, increase owner's battle EXP gain, increase owner's crit rate, and more. Croquis is a great pet, especially in Ender's Echo with King, so I'm going to stick them in the S tier. Is Croquis the best pet in the game? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Next we have Murica, as gentle as a pigeon, as fierce as an eagle. Murica has a skill called Dervish, flaps wings to create a whirlwind, dealing 350% attack damage. It also penetrates enemies. In addition, they have a deployment skill called Crush. Attacks have a 5% chance to deal 10 times damage to enemies below 50% HP. So as you see, they're not essentially going to boost your survivor, they will boost themselves. They'll boost their own movement speed, their attack and skill cooldown, their attack damage, and skill range. They also become bigger. Speaking of when they're bigger, Murica is a big pet compared to others, so when they die, they can act as a big meat shield. You can essentially stand behind them to block projectiles. I do like Murica, but for now, I'm going to stick them in the C tier. I think I like Kerbabel a little bit more, so maybe stick them between C and D. But for now, I'm just going to stick them in the C tier, but keep note of what I just said. Next, we have Shelly. It may look like a slowpoke, but its speed will astound you in battle. They have a skill called Turtle Surge, leaps up and smashes the ground hard to create a shockwave that deals 300% attack damage. So what Shelly is going to do is they're going to jump up in the air into the enemy and deal shockwave damage, pretty much deal AoE damage on impact. But that puts them closer to the enemy, which can be problematic. However, they have a legendary deployment skill called Super Tough Skin that reduces pet damage taken by 60%. Shelly is kind of interesting. They act as a decent meat shield when they are dead, and they die quite easily, so that's why I'm going to stick them in the C tier. They die way too fast. Here's Nemo. Don't be misled by its appearance. It'll surprise you in times of danger. That kind of actually explains it quite well. Nemo has a skill called Bubble Bullet, spits explosive bubbles at enemies. Hits and explosions deal 200% attack damage. They also have a legendary deployment skill called Time Stop. When owner's HP is below 30%, stops time and freezes all enemies for 5 seconds, including bosses, during which the player and pet are invincible. Nemo is kind of interesting. While they act like a skill, they can also help you out by freezing everyone on the screen. When your survivor's HP drops below 30%, everyone on the screen will freeze, including bosses, which can actually be very helpful. It can stop you from dying, it can help you kill bosses, and more. I personally kind of like Nemo, so I'm going to stick Nemo in the B tier. While Kerbabel and Murica can essentially deal a lot of damage, so can Nemo, but Nemo can also freeze the screen, which I like. Next up, we have DD6, a mysterious machine made from technology not of this world. They have a skill called Laser, fires 3 burning lasers at enemies to deal 400% attack damage. They also have a very interesting deployment skill called Satellite Cannon, guides satellite to blast a powerful shot at a certain area to deal 1000 attack damage. I like this skill. I think it's pretty good. It can deal a lot of damage across the screen. It can hit enemies all over the place, but it doesn't really stand out, and I would rather boost my survivor. I like DD6 and I like them more than Murica, but I'm going to stick them in the C tier for just right now. In reality, I like Polly's Time Stop skill a little bit more. Here's Cheshire. Whether as a companion or in battle, its presence is as heartwarming as its name. Cheshire has a skill called Scratch, Scratches with sharp claws to deal 200% attack damage, plus 50% damage when owner levels up. They also have this very cool red deployment skill 9 lives. When player and pet take fatal damage, nullify that attack and heal all allies for 50% HP. Does not count as revival, and it's effective in co-op. Whenever your survivor or Cheshire take fatal damage in battle, Cheshire will heal you and your survivor for about 50% HP. Cheshire will heal themselves even if you do not need to be healed, and they will heal you even if they don't need to be healed themselves. Or they'll heal you both. I actually like the healing from Cheshire, and I think it can be effective in some scenarios, so for right now, I'm going to stick Cheshire in the B tier. Last on the list, we have Rex. Once touted to be a trusty human companion pre-mutation, a surefire choice, so Rex has been mutated. Rex has a skill where he yells at enemies with loud noises to deal 250% attack damage. They also have a red deployment skill, Utmost Loyalty, take 30% damage in place of owner. In addition, Rex can increase your crit rate, your crit damage, and absorb HP. I personally think that Rex is probably the best excellent grade pet in the game, but above that, I do like Croquis a little bit more. Rex is effective in just about every game mode. He can deal AoE damage and boost your survivor and Ender's Echo just like Croquis can, but less. I also have Gary here. Gary was in game file, so Gary is going to be a pet sometime in Survivor.io. I have no idea when, but here's Gary. Here is the final pet tier list. If you would rank anything differently, let's hear it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to smash like and subscribe. I'll see you later.